Good morning and welcome to Real Producers Live with your host, which I am not, your host Jordan Espeseth. Good morning, Jordan. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Landon, and yourself?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Every day's a good day. Every day's a good day. So,
Yes, sir.
especially
Yes.
when for me, especially because I get to sit and visit with folks like you and the guests that you have, and I get to do this every day. So, I don't even have a job, man. I don't know what I would call this, but it's so cool to meet new people and get to know them and hear their stories. We all have a story. As one person told me once, we all have a book inside of us, right? And
hmm
what's amazing is that when the people out there that are listening to these stories, they hear them. A lot of people are going through some challenges that some of our guests have gone through, and it really does inspire them to press on, keep going, keep moving forward. Gives them hope and the courage to fight through. Because man, it's a tough world. You take COVID away, it's still a tough world, but it's a tough world now.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's bring in your guest. I want you to introduce them to everybody.
Yeah, I'm excited to bring on these two lovely people. We have Bryan Linder and Bronwyn Osborne, and they're one of our partners with Wealthwave. And I guess the best way I would put it is from their site they say they're not your parents' financial company, and so we'll take it there and let them share the rest. But these are two people who are they're very relational. They're very entrepreneurial. They've done a lot and experienced a lot, and I'm excited to have you guys on. So thanks for joining us, guys.
Heck yeah, we're
Thank
excited.
you.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good to meet you. So tell me a little bit about y'all's dynamic. You're co-owners of Linder Legacy Group and Texas Wealth. Share with me and with everyone else a little bit about Linder Legacy Group and Texas Wealth and how y'all got partnered up.
Absolutely. Well, for me, it's been a family legacy. My dad started in the insurance investment business back in 1979. So he's going on his 41st year in the industry. He's pretty much retired now. I took over his agency in 2012, but I started my own agency in 2008. And we moved to Frisco back in 2013. And then I went through a divorce, and I ended up meeting Bronwyn, who had gone through a divorce. And we've been dating for about 3.5 years. So we paired our businesses together. And I run the mentorship and helping new reps get up and running, as well as our client side. And Bronwyn helps run our women's division. So we run this together from our house with our blended kids of 5 from all the way from 19 years old down to 9 years old. So we're a busy household.
It sounds like it. That's like extremely busy. So talk a little bit about what exactly is Texas Wealth Wave?
So it's really a financial services company that teaches people how money works. We believe, really, I've seen it my whole career, that most people have never been taught anything about finances. We go through high school, we go through college. I ask people all the time, where'd you learn about money? And it's my mom or dad taught me, or I learned it from the bank, or, I have a friend that's a CPA, or I Googled it. I get that a lot now. I just Googled it, Brian. And so,
You too.
there's nothing out there that fundamentally teaches them. So they leave high school uneducated about money. They go to college, get student loans. No one teaches about personal finance or saving for their future. So they're caught in this trap that they'll never learn because most of their parents were not financially independent.
Right.
Their CPAs and the banks aren't teaching them financial concepts, to be honest. So all we do is we have about 45,000 licensed agents across the United States, and our goal is fundamental financial education backed by strategies and implementation from our providers and carriers that we support in the insurance and investment world.
Well, your own point there, Brian. As I said before we got on the show, I did credit repair for 18 years, so I saw so many unfortunate horror stories, and a lot of it was just because they were uneducated people. Not they weren't unintelligent; they just hadn't been taught. Mom and dad had passed on the habits that they had down to their children, and it just kind of perpetuated itself. And it was really sad because a lot of mistakes could have been avoided. But sometimes through no fault of their own, it wasn't. And I wish that there would be more financial education in high school. I think that's where, look, man, if you can't balance your checkbook, does anybody have a checkbook anymore? Anyway,
A what?
that may have just dated. Yeah. I saw that look. I saw that look on Jordan's face. He's like, "What's that?" See, us old guys
I
still
got my
remember
e-wallet
that.
on my
We still
phone. Is that
remember
what
the
you're
check.
talking?
We still remember the checkbooks, but if you don't know how to balance your budget and manage your money, you're destined for a lot of a heartache. So, talk a little bit more about that. What are some ways that people can get involved in Wealthwave? And then I definitely want to talk to you about Linder Legacy Group and hear a little bit more about your mortgage and what you're doing to help people there.
Absolutely. You know, and I'll bring Rowan here on a second about some of the things that we're doing on the Wealthwave side, but really to get engaged, we want to start the conversation. We want to force this issue out into the public, mindset that, quite frankly, 85 to 90% of Americans don't have a written budget. They don't have a written game plan on their financial goals. They never sat down with a financial professional. They think it costs too much. They overprice the cost of insurance by 4 to 5 times what it really costs. So they just don't. It's the typical, I'm going to bury my head in the sand. I'm going to wait till age 65 or 67. I'm going to pull my head up and say, hey, I magically have $2 million in this bank account, so now I can retire, when in actual reality, only 5% can actually retire. 95% of Americans either retire, hit 65 dead broke, or still working. And in arguably the wealthiest country on the planet, there's no way that should happen in 2020. So our goal, our mission is to leverage technology to get out there through Zoom and get out there in the kitchen tables of all these people, especially in Texas. There's 28 million people that are financially illiterate. They can't read a financial statement. They don't even know how to create a budget or a debt payment plan. And so that's where, I'm really proud of what Bronwyn's been creating, where she's created a women's division to help really flip the script on. A lot of women don't understand that this has been a long held, old middle-aged white guy, bald head in a corner office. You come to my office downtown between 8 and 5 and you pay me money to get my knowledge. Well, that model doesn't work. It hasn't worked for 100 years. So what's been happening is these men have been trying to teach women how to handle their money, even though women's needs are completely different. So, Bronwyn started up the Women of Wealthwave, which is a whole women's division that speaks to the difference that women may need versus men. And so I'll kind of let her speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so I've had personal experience going through it. You don't know while you're going through it that that's what's happening to you. But there's so many women out there that just aren't involved with the finances because that's just been the norm for years. It's being, you're the mom, you're going to stay home, you're going to do wifely duties. And I was that person. I got married very young, and it was normal for me to watch over the years how a female should handle things even while working, but the home life. And I wasn't involved with the finances at all. I didn't know what was coming in. I didn't know what was going out. All that I knew is my budget for groceries and taking care of the kids. And that's what's crazy is majority of the women that I come into contact with or sit down with have the answer of, I don't handle that. I have no idea about it. Speak to my husband. Because that's just being the norm. Not that it's wrong or right, but what I'm so passionate about is because once I got divorced, it was like a deer in headlights, and I didn't know what to do or what was happening because now it was on me to take care of these kids. And on me to get into the workforce, and on me to pay the bills and set up my retirement. And where do I even start? Because nobody's telling me where to go. I mean, you try Google it, it's overwhelming. There's different answers, there's different resources. Which one's the right one? And so what I did with the Women of Wealthwave is we're here to educate females how to plan to separately together with their spouse, if that makes sense. I don't want to do it completely opposite to your spouse. You guys are a team, but you're still an individual. So if, heaven forbid, something does happen, you're not that deer in headlights, and you know what's going on, and you're prepared for the future for you and your family. So that's kind of what we do on the women's side.
I think that's awesome. I think, there's so many people that just think, well, I'm not making a lot of money right now, or once I start making money, then I'll start looking at my finances. And I'm sure you guys would agree that that's a huge mistake. That no matter where you're at, you should start looking at where you're at with finances. I was watching. Have you guys seen the movie Horrible Bosses? I was watching that last night. So good, by the way. I've seen it multiple times. But Bateman was talking about his mom moved to this country, with $20, and she worked her entire life, and she died with $2,000 in her pocket. And he's like, and that sucks. And it made me think that, man, so many people, they don't have a plan set in place to where they can set themselves up, and putting your head in the sand and just hoping something happens and works is probably not the best strategy. And my question to you guys too is, do you think it's a failed educational system on that aspect? Is it planned for some reason? That, like, why is there, that seems like something that should just be taught? Like what's going on?
I think people are scared. I mean, they hear a financial advisor or a life insurance agent or someone that helps you with your money, and they take a step back because they're like, how much do I have to pay this person to even sit down with me? And how much money are they going to take from me? Well, you need to do your research. We don't charge to sit down and help with financial plans. We represent companies that actually pay us to help you, and you're not paying money for something, a product. You're putting money into a plan that's going to help you with your future. That should be the most important thing in your life, is to make sure you and your family are taken care of.
See, and I got a little bit of a slant on that, which is I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm a little bit in this aspect. When the government controls education in America, then if that's true, why would they not want to educate their populace on one of the most important things they're ever going to need to know, which is how money works? So,
Amen.
And then you said, you mentioned checking accounts, which I was taught in school how to balance a checkbook. But I always tell people, listen, right now on your phone, you have the app for the bank or credit union you work with right now. Do they ever text you or send you messages about how to get better rates of return on your money, how to escape taxes on the growth of your money, how to get out of debt, lower your taxes? They don't. No, they could. It's a $109 trillion industry. It's 3 times the size of real estate and 4 times the size of retail industries. And they could educate the consumer, but they don't. And so I believe there's a problem, because if everybody was as rich as Bill Gates and everybody was free and had as much money as Oprah Winfrey, could the government control any of us? Absolutely.
Right. No.
What we want when we want.
Well, I suppose
Bryan,
if they know how money works, then there's a good chance they can slip out of paying taxes, the full amount of taxes. I mean, you look at Jeff Bezos and his company, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons for it, but I think he paid nothing in taxes, on a multi-billion-dollar company. And so, I'm sure the government knows that if people truly know how to do it, then, I don't know who knows, maybe they're purposely holding back some valuable information that could help.
We always say there's 2 tax systems in America, one for the informed and one for the uninformed. Those that are informed on how to use it, they don't pay it. Those that don't pay it.
You're right. It's funny you said that Bryan, because when I was, as I said before, I did credit repair for 18 years, and I got to see the sad end of it all, and then how they would get caught in a trap. And this, being a mortgage lender, you have that middle tier. Nobody wants to lend money to the person that's on the bottom rung of the credit scoring. The middle tier, though, you can look, on their history, and you see that maybe an event happened that created some difficulty in their life, but those people are going to pay their bills. They're committed to paying their bills, and that's where a lot of people make their money. And I always said that sometimes your credit report, it's not a credit score, it's a freedom score. The better it is, the more freedom you have. And then also, and you said this, Bryan, but it's hard to take advantage of an educated buyer. It really is. And I think that our system is set up to make money off of the less informed people. And that's sad, because, I mean, in being one of the greatest countries in the world, like you said, if everybody had the knowledge and the ability that Oprah and Bezos and Buffett and all of those, first of all, we wouldn't need the government nearly as much as we think we do. So I don't want to get into my conspiracy theories either, but.
Well, and you're 100% right. I mean, it just goes back to the fact that even a common consumer doesn't understand having an interest rate on a mortgage of 5.5%, 6% versus 3% is tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. On a car loan, on a student loan, just 3 to 4%, which is just understanding how to utilize credit, how to pay things back, just those simple. So that's what we believe in. From our company, we just want to educate, because an educated consumer is a good buyer. It's a good educated client. And what we're selling, what we're offering isn't like a 4-year thing. It's like a refrigerator This is a 20, 30, 40-year plan. And if you don't fund it, understand it, and know how to use it, you're gonna fail. So all of our clients, when I get done, I would say, I want you to sell me the top 3 reasons why you bought this today. And I'm going to be quiet. And you make, because I want to make sure you understand. And if you don't, we're going to go back into the details until you can explain to me why you're buying this today.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think looking at understanding like why you're buying things that you're paying, or you're buying. I was talking with one of my coaches, and he said it really well. He used the analogy of the whole cliche of when you make more money, you end up spending more money, right? But he said he used it, and he compared it with a tube of toothpaste. He said if you're going on a vacation, you got this big tube of toothpaste. He's like, and this big tube. He's like, you're gonna more than likely you don't really pay attention to how much you're really putting on. You're just like, I got a bunch, but if you had this tiny little tube that had to last you a week, right? You're gonna be like very meticulous about how much you're putting on, and you're gonna put on enough that does the job, but you're not gonna be probably foaming from the mouth or anything like that, but you're gonna be doing just enough to do the job. And I said that's I mean it makes so much sense that's how people kind of treat their finances. Like, oh, I got all this money, so they don't they're a little careless on how much toothpaste if you will, they're putting on everything. Yep. And then all of a sudden you take a closer look at it and you're like, I guess I can be doing that maybe, but why am I why am I doing that? And having the awareness of it's okay if you're buying those things, but at least be aware that you're doing it and have that be a conscious thing. Because a lot of people, I think, don't even realize they're buying and spending the money on things that, they're buying and spending money on.
Oh man. Well, we're a spending society. America's built to have you spend. You're bombarded with 60 to 100,000 advertisements a day now.
Yeah.
To get money out of your pocket, and probably not one that puts money back in your pocket. And so the buy now, put it on credit, and Lennon's right. What we've learned now is that clients will say, well, how much do I have in my monthly budget that I can fit my minimum payment in? Not to pay back a big chunk of debt, but can I make the $150 or $300 a month payment on the interest that I owe to this credit card company, which we educate people, by the way, that's just a bank lending you your own money back at 18 or 20%, and you're giving 1 or less percent. And so that's one of the things that we teach right away is, flip that script, right? You need to be making that money on your money, right? Making that interest on your money. And that just goes back to, again, education, just knowing where to put it. But yeah, you're right. People spend now and don't save.
Yep.
And Bryan, talk a little bit about teaching people the power of leveraging your money. You just touched on that, but I think, in the years that I've been around this, those that are underinformed or just uninformed, I mean, they think about a savings account making 1% or less, right? And you just don't, you can't see, which it's true, but you just can't see how money grows at 1%. And so a lot of people don't save. And, I've worked with people before. It's just like if they can fit it within that what they make in monthly revenue, if they still have $10 left, they're going to find a $10 payment to eat that up at some point. And they don't realize that you could take that $10, and if you leveraged it correctly and had the right guidance, it can far exceed 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever it may be. And I think that's where when the light bulb went off for me, that's when I realized that, wow, I need to spend less because I can take this money and let it work and generate revenue for me. Talk a little bit about that, about the challenges that you face, or any stories that you've gone through where you've been able to see that and help somebody see it from a different perspective.
One of my favorite is there's a book called The Slight Edge. And in this book, it basically talks about how, things you do today, you don't see the ramifications of it for a long, long time. Meaning, no one wakes up and says, man, if I eat this hamburger, I'm going to gain 300 pounds, immediately. But if you eat a hamburger over the course of 10 years, that could happen. It'll put pressure on your heart. Or if you smoke, if you smoked right now and you knew after the first cigarette you would get lung cancer, would you ever pick up that cigarette? Absolutely not. But it's over a span of 10 or 15 or 20 years that cigarette will compound those health effects. So the same thing happens with money. If you put money into a savings investment vehicle that's getting you 8 or 9 or 10 or even 12%, the first year doesn't knock your socks off. But in year 15, year 20, year 30, it's going to blow you away. You're talking about tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of doubling on the back end. So it's just those small disciplines up front daily or monthly, however you structure it, over time, start to compound. And it's mind blowing. We did a thing at her son's school, and they were third graders?
Yeah.
Third graders or fourth graders. And we show them a penny doubled every day versus $1 million. And those kids, almost all the kids in class, $1 million. And we had these little cool $1 million bills we would hand them. But like 3 or 4 kids would say, well, I'll take the penny. Yeah. And then boom, at the end, that kid got $35 million, and the other kid got their $1 million.
Is it after 30 days, it's 10 million or something?
Yeah, it's like 10 point something million dollars.
He's doubling the penny.
Well, and then also the backing of it is just people being educated that there are vehicles out there that can get you those percentages where people don't believe it, but they have their money sitting in a savings account at a bank for years, and it's making less than 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's making way more than that, but just not for them.
Right.
That's a great analogy right there.
We use this thing called the rule of 72, which a lot of people have probably heard, but it's just if you take an interest rate, divide that into 72, it shows you how long it takes for money to double at that interest rate. So there's a couple of banks in America that are 0.01% on your interest rate that they'll pay you on your savings account. And I show clients, that means this will double in 7,200 years. The account will double for you. One of the top banks is Capital One, I think, and it's 1%. That will double for you 72 years from now. So you can leave it there, and what they're going to do is go get 17% on a credit card from your neighbor and give you your one, or we can take this money, go teach you how to put it in real estate investment, stock market investment, other savings vehicles, and now you control the interest, not the banks.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
That's interesting.
So guys, tell us a little bit about who you serve, who you're looking to help. I mean, I know it's anybody, but for those that are out there listening, what's your ideal client? What do they look like?
Oh man, like you hit it. It's kind of everybody, but I think it's those that are really serious about getting their hands dirty into their finances, right? That really want to take control of this, that want to learn it, that are frustrated with where they're going, or scared that they're not going to have enough. There's no demographic in America that has enough saved for retirement. Not millennials, not Gen X, not definitely not the boomers. And so, we want to work with committed, consumers that are ready to make a move. And that usually is triggered, unfortunately, by a massive, these last 3 months have been the best 3 months in the last probably 5 years for our company, simply because it forced people to stay home and look at their money. And they were home with their spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, and they were talking about these things. And so they had an uncle pass away from COVID, or they knew someone that passed away from COVID, and they looked at their life insurance plan and realized they didn't have enough coverage, or they had it through work and they got laid off. So now they don't have any insurance at all. And so those are the consumers that we want to speak to, because they're ready to learn. And I don't care if they buy or not, to be honest. I want them to be ready to learn the concepts and things they need to now put disciplines in place to win the money game long-term for themselves. So that's really, and then hers is a different demographic, I'm sure, than mine.
Well, and I was going to say is anybody don't feel like I have no money, I can't start saving. That's what we're here for, is to help you find a way to either have an additional income come in that can get you on track to actually have a retirement or have insurance or whatever it is that you need for your plan. So anybody from saving $50 a day to we have clients saving thousands. So there's no too little, too much that we can't help you with. I personally sit down for free with so many single moms and just teach them how to build a budget at first. But then in a couple of years' time, they're at their goal where now I can do a savings for my kids' college, or I can do a savings for my retirement. So just to let everyone know, there's not too much or too little that we can't help you with.
Well, I think it's people don't understand too. Like if they sit down with someone like, Bryan Bronwyn, and then you can just show them like, hey, if you just do this little bit, like let's look at, we talk about that compound, like what that would mean for you. Like it doesn't need to be this huge drastic thing where you need to like all of a sudden start sacrificing the way you live your life. It's being more conscious and taking note of where that money's going and looking at where it may be down the future. I think people will be so shocked at, wow, I didn't realize that it would not only be that easy, but it could mean that much for me down the road.
Well, what's crazy is the simple math, like for a 20-year-old, take a 20-year-old person right now. If they get a 9% return on their investment, it's only $113 a month to be a millionaire by age 67.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can sit down with a 20-year-old and say, listen, don't buy 8 Monsters this week, cut back on your beef, stop smoking or vaping. Let's put that money to work for you. It's only $113. I mean, quite frankly, people blow that amount of money drinking on the weekend with their buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Just those little things in their mind. And Lendon was right. If I can get it from them before they spend it, they won't spend it.
Yep.
If it's left in the account by the end of the month, they'll figure out some way. Because we're taught that should be zero, right? It wasn't like when we balance our checkbook, it wasn't like save $50 in investments at the end of the month. It was no, it should be zero at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Right.
There's still toothpaste left. Gotta keep squeezing the toothpaste. It's still left.
Right.
It's got to go.
So, what do you think that for a lot of people, the scary part or the fearful part about meeting with someone like you is that, and Jordan touched on that they're just afraid they're going to have to make so many sacrifices. They kind of put themselves in a financial isolation. They just don't want, they feel like it's going to be a complete lifestyle change, and they're going to have to, just kind of sit at home and eat ramen noodles for, the next 10 years. Do you think that's a challenge for some people and they just have that misconception?
Yeah, I think it's two things. That's for sure. One is that they're scared of the unknown. The other one is people don't like to get in discussions on topics they have no knowledge on. Like if you had called me on today and said, Bryan, we're going to talk about cars and engines, and I'd be like, bro, I'm not coming on because I have zero clue about any of that stuff. I would be a complete idiot. So I would feel completely out of place. Well, most of our people, our clients, we're walking in there and they have zero clue. Like if I said SEP IRA, Roth IRA, 401k, W-2, 1099, they would be like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about any of this stuff. So they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to feel dumb or feel like they're uneducated.
Mm-hmm.
So that hurdle is the first one to say, listen, we're coming in here to teach you the fundamentals. If we teach you the fundamentals, you're going to want to save on your own. You're going to want to make those changes if you have to, all on your own, because you'll be fired up for the outcomes that you learned what could happen for you and your family. And if I sit down and I show you, listen, if you save this much at this rate of return for this long, you can retire at 55. Or you can buy that lake house in Marble Falls, Texas, or you can buy that house in Tahiti. It's all mathematics. It's just saving an amount of money over time with an interest rate to hit a goal. Just like anything else, lifting weights or eating healthy, it's just discipline.
I think a lot of people too. There's so much misconceptions, and even myself, like it was, you'd hear from all these different sources, and you'd hear things like, oh, don't do don't do SEPs or don't do Roths. Like you got to put your money here. Like you can make so much more money if you do it here. And it's like, so I know like for part of me, like for a long time, like I just froze instead of doing anything. It was like, well, I don't want to, if a Roth is not what I should do because I could make way more if I put it here. Like, I don't want to do that yet. So it's like, but at the end of the day, then you realize like maybe there are certain things that are slam dunks, right? Like apparently like this Livongo stock, if you guys haven't heard of it, is like a place you should put some money. I don't know. But at the end of the day, like putting those basic things in place, like it makes such a big difference. And I know I feel so much more comfortable just like with the decisions that I've made to just do some of those things and put them in place and know that, hey, this money's automatically going out every single month and it's going to put me in a good place. And I still have the option to look at doing some other more exotic ideas if I want to, but man, get those things like that you should do and just have it in place because it's so important.
Leaving it up to people that are there, educated, able to teach you where to put it, and understanding that each person has a different financial plan. You're not going to be the same plan as your best friend. So don't listen to your best friend on where to put your money. Speak to a professional that actually has all of that. You may be on the same plan, but most likely not. And that's okay.
Yep.
And then I always tell consumers, find someone that can offer the marketplace. Never, you would never shop for anything if they only had one option. It just wouldn't make any sense. So we find day after day, people in our industry, they go to find a financial professional and all they can offer is one product, and it's the one that they create themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've realized over my career is, I want to represent the marketplace to where if my client comes to me, I look at it like Foot Locker. Like if Jordan came to me and he's like, Bryan, we got to start a basketball team, man. I need some basketball shoes. And let's go look. And if I take him to the Nike outlet store, guess what type of shoe he's getting?
Probably Nikes.
The Nike, whether he likes it or not, that's all they sell. But if I go to Foot Locker or Dick's, what's going to happen is, well, do you want air or high tops or low tops, or do you want, no laces, laces? How much you want to spend, $30 or $180? And they're going to fit your foot and find out what shoe makes the best sense. Well, that's what we've done on the financial services side. We represent 300 different carriers, from life insurance all the way to investments. We can help people $40,000 in debt up to multimillionaires. And so we can offer all the marketplace to them, to where when they come to us, we're focused on the client product that I can sell today. And that's a big, and I don't care what industry it's in, you want to have choice. And that's the beautiful part about America, is there's lots of choices when it comes to buying decisions.
So Bryan and Bronwyn, real quick, we got just a few minutes left, and I've got a couple other questions for you. But one that I think I would love to address right now is, when a person that may be looking for help, or realize that they're just tired of living the lifestyle that they've been living, and they want to change, how important is trust in finding the right person to guide them? And how does your free consultation help you guys to establish that trust?
Well, I mean, it's everything, right? I mean, I always tell our new reps when I'm training them, listen, this is not like you're selling widgets here. You're actually taking people's money, and they only have so much money coming through their household during their working career. So it's it's almost equated to a medical doctor. Outside of their health, their wealth affects everything they do. So building that trust with the client, and again, I think what helps a lot is that we do it for free, and we come from the education platform. Let's get a budget, get a debt plan going. Let's figure out how to save an emergency fund. Then let's start looking at investment choices, put some life insurance in place. We stair step our clients along the path. It's not like, let's do all of this right now. Like Jordan said, it's like, listen, this is where your level is. Let's start here. $50 a month, $25 a month. Awesome. Let's go. Or listen, you got $10,000 in debt we got to get rid of. Let's focus on that. And we don't get paid a dime for that, and even helping with credit, right? We want to connect them with other professionals that can help them get the right things in place, so now they can go to the next level of their financial and savings plans. So that trust that we establish is that we never ask for a sale on the first appointment, probably not on the second appointment. We want to make sure that we're getting a lot of information. We're gathering details. What are your goals? Why do you want to do this? What's the emotion behind why you want to save? And then let's put some stuff logically in place to make that work. And so that's a big part of what we do is you're 100% right, is that trust factor is huge, because most people, like she said, are skeptical and scared you're going to take their money from them.
Well,
Bryan, I don't know.
they're also go ahead, Jordan.
I was saying, I don't know if you know this, because I think you texted me a while back asking about Lender's Credit Choice, right? With Dane Wilson.
Choice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lender's Choice. That's Lendon's son is Dane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's Dane's my son, and he is incredible at credit repair, and has the same passion that I did. I kind of, do you guys remember the Hair Club for Men commercial where he always said I was? You don't remember?
Nope.
So that old commercial, Hair Club for Men, and the CEO said I was my first client. Well, when I got into credit repair, I got into it because I was my first client. I'd gone through a divorce. And I hired a company and paid them $3,000. That's back when you could pay all up front. It was legal. And 2 weeks later, when I called to get an update, the phone was disconnected.
Wow.
And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to have to figure out how to do this on my own. And I did not know what I did not know. And it was a very painful and expensive education that over the 18 months, I finally figured it out. But when I did, when it finally went off and I realized kind of what we were talking about, that the uninformed are being taken advantage of, that's where I just developed a passion that I'm like, you know what, I'm going to start helping everybody else that I can to understand how this game's played so that it can be a level playing field.
Absolutely.
And Dane was working with me in the 8th grade. He was helping me. And so now I'm really proud of him for what he's done. But one last question for you guys, unless Jordan's got anything else, but I love Jordan. I love him being on this show. I am so happy to be a part of Real Producers. And it's a community built around the best businesses, the best real estate agents, the top producers. Why is being connected and part of that group and that type of people so important to you guys?
Go ahead.
Well, being connected with Jordan and their team and their real estate agents, especially out here, we've had the privilege to get to know them, is they're independent in their workforce, right? And so we relate to that with us being independent, but educating them on how money works and what they can do for their personal lives is massive, because they're not getting that from anywhere either. And then also having them educated on that piece to be able to help their buyers take that next step, because they've just made this major purchase. They need to be educated on how to protect that, how to protect their family. It all just fits together. And so that's why we built that relationship with Jordan and Real Producers, is it just seemed completely like a fitting piece, a puzzle piece, because of the importance there is for those families as well as the agents to know everything, to have all their tools in that toolbox, right? And now we've even brought on a partnership, because we know the importance with real estate agents, to be able to offer health insurance on that side for those agents as well. And then be able to offer that to their families, because it all connects. So I don't know if you have any more that you want to share.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at real estate agents, I mean, especially people early on, right? They don't realize that there's like taxes that they have to pay on the money that they're earning. And, I think a lot of the agents that are in our group understand that part of it, but I think so many people just they're not aware. And when you're a 1099, there's a lot of different things you can do that people don't maybe understand too. So, we're grateful to have these guys a part of it. They're passionate about what they do. And, I guess I would just encourage anyone who's listening, any agent, any business, anyone that is been on the fence about what they should do with their finances. These two guys right here, not only do they know what they're talking about, but they're very trustworthy people, and they throw awesome events. I don't know if they've been able to throw any events lately, but they do the best at what they do always. So appreciate having you guys as partners.
Yeah, and I was going to tell you guys before we close out, we keep talking about this, but we got this book, for any of your listeners, it's called How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. So we have over 500,000, and it was written by one of our co-founders, Tom Matthews, and Steve Siebold, who's one of the foremost mental toughness secrets trainers, who's interviewed over 1,300 millionaires in America. And they basically wrote a book that's simple and easy to understand with graphics and characters.
My type of book.
Yeah. 15-year-old can understand it all the way up to, multimillionaires say, hey, those are the concepts that I learned early on that made me a millionaire. So if any of your, viewers, listeners want to get this book, just have them email us or go through Jordan or Lendon, and we'd be happy to give them to them for free. We'll ship it to their house for them to read. And in here has all the things we talked about, the fundamentals, compounding of interest, starting early, all those concepts are in the book, because we couldn't find them anywhere else in America. So we just wrote our own book.
That is awesome. Awesome.
Love it.
Well, Bryan and Bronwyn, thank you both for being here today. It's a pleasure to meet you, and a joy to have you on the show. Thank you also. Just kudos to you both for making the difference in so many people's lives that, sometimes it's hard to find a good resource like you guys are providing. So more power to you, and God bless you for that. And Jordan, if you want to close us out, we'll close out, and remind everybody that we'll be back again next week at 11.
That's right. And always, Lendon, appreciate you, man. Thanks for all you do and putting this show together and having the platform that you have. It's always a pleasure. And if anyone's, interested in some different ways to get their business and out there as well, Lendon's got an awesome platform for that. And as always, thank you, Bryan Bronwyn, for hopping on and sharing your thoughts and your wisdom. And like we said, 11 o'clock every week. We'll see you guys next time.
All right.